cookouts today, I want to show you how to make a very simple salami. This is an absolute humdinger of a salami recipe, so simple, and you can do it with very minimal equipment. All you need is some pork and some casings, right? That's it. Everything else you can make do with things that you have around the kitchen. So here I've got 1 kilo of pork loin. This has got approximately 20% to maybe 30% tops of fat. We've then got 3%, yes, 3% of the weight of your meat in salt, okay? And with salt, you want to be using a cooking salt or a sea salt, but don't use table salt, okay? Table salt has some anti-caking properties and some extra potassium in there, which we don't really want during salami making. If you're using curing salts and you're into adding additional nitrates, you can change the volume from 3% to 2.5% salt and 0.25% in your pink salt, which will be a number 2 or an Instacure or a Prague powder number 2. On top of that, we want to then add 1.5% of cracked pepper and ground pepper, making it up to that. Once we've got to that base, it's then a case of choosing any other additional aromatics that you may wish. There may be some fennel seeds or a little bit of chilli or some grated orange zest. With these, you want to be working to 1.5% of the weight of your meat in terms of the aromatics, for it just to add a little bit of the background so it's not overpowering any of the flavour. So when it comes to preparing your meat, you want to make sure that first of all, you don't buy pre-ground pork, okay? This is because any bacteria that happens to be on the outside of the meat during the grinding process is then going to be inside, and you don't know exactly when that was being ground. So it's very important to cut and grind your own meat, okay? So for this, I've gone and bought some pork loin. I've then gone and cut it up into smaller cubes like this, and then you have a choice of 2 methods. One, you can use our suggested 2-knife method like this, which I particularly enjoy. It gives you a real hands-on feel for the cutting, and you can control the coarseness of the meat, or you can put it into a meat grinder like this. When using a meat grinder, it's very important to freeze your meat down a little bit for about 20 minutes beforehand so it doesn't turn to sludge when you're going through the mixer, and also to cool down your equipment as well. Okay, so now you've ground or cut up your meat. It's now a case of mixing, so for that we need a mixing bowl. Okay, and then I need some magic hands. Okay, so now we've got all of our pork mince that we've gone and cut up. Okay, we now want to be adding our salt. Start giving that a really good mix through. Okay, very important here to do a thorough mix with everything, as well as adding in your pepper and then any of your other aromatics. So now it's a case of really giving it a good squish. Now the salt in here is going to start doing its work, and that's inhibiting the bad bacteria. It doesn't harm the good bacteria. But on top of that, we want to give it a little bit more protection, okay? So for that, we suggest introducing some acidity. So for that, I'm going to be using some wine, and why not? The important thing about using some wine is use a wine that you enjoy and that you like, okay? Don't always go for the cheapest bottle of red that you can find. No need to go with the most expensive, but just an everyday bottle of glass of red or white that you'd normally drink. So with here, I'm a big fan of an Italian red, so with here we're going with some Primitivo. So here I've just got a glass of wine there, that's approximately 35 ml. So the addition of the acidity through the wine, combined with the salt, basically makes it an inhospitable arena for any bad bacteria to grow. Okay, so it's just a case of making sure we've got everything mixed through here thoroughly. Okay. Don't be afraid to spend a bit of time on this and make sure everything's mixed in, get those fingers all going through, thoroughly mixed in. Right. After this, it's going to be a case of stuffing. Now you've got 2 options here. One, you may already have a sausage stuffer or a sausage stuffing attachment, which goes onto a mixer, or you can use our bottle hack, which works just as well, which is you get yourself one of these. This is a 2-litre standard PET bottle, okay? And the amazing thing about these is that the nozzles here fit all sausage casings, right? Absolutely perfect. So what we want to do is cut down here, like that. Hey ho, can you see what we're doing here? We've now got a funnel. If you have a sausage stuffing tube like this, This will actually also fit on like this, but at the same time you can put your sausage skins directly onto this piece. Then it's a case of putting your sausage mix in the top and using your fist to push it through. As we're then filling out the sausage casing, we want to make sure that we're getting rid of any air and packing it very, very tight. Because even though we'll be pricking this later, we still don't want any large air pockets. So I'll come back to you once I've finished all of my stuffing. So a good tip, if you're using a sausage stuffer or the bottle funnel method, is that when it comes to filling the skins, don't tie the end to start with, okay, because you'll end up with a large air pocket. Instead, you want to wait until the meat mix is starting to come through, and then we're going to pull it over, like so, and we're going to give ourselves a little bit of length to work with, like so. And then it's just a case of now just cranking out as we need. Now it's just a case of tying, doing a simple granny knot, like so. Then we want to leave a flap of the skin. And then what you want to do here, while we have the flap, is fold that back over your knot, like so. Then tie another granny knot. That, and then you can tie into a hoop ready for hanging. Then tie off your other side, and you'll then have a perfectly nice, tight, packed salami. Okay, so we've now stuffed our salami, like so. Okay, don't worry about the curls, these will straighten up. This is just what happens when you're using natural casings. The next thing we want to do is get rid of any air pockets that are in there. For that, I use just a simple needle that I've taken from the sewing kit. I pop it in a cork for safety reasons, and then what you want to do is just prick out any holes, stabbing all the way along like a machine gun effect, because in curing salami what you don't want is air trapped inside. That's the worst thing you can have, is little air pockets. So the way that I do it is I put my finger as a bit of a break here, just so the needle doesn't go in too far, and then I will just prick the salamis all over, particularly where I can see any visible air pockets on the surface. I'll make sure that I give those a good run over. And then what will happen is, during the next stage, when we hang these to ferment for 24 hours, is that the skin will start to dry back a little bit, almost like a cling film wrap on our salamis. Okay? I apologise for the beeping, that's the dishwasher. So I'll come back once I've pricked all my salami. So we've finished pricking our salami. Now we want to record the weight of each sausage onto a tag or a tie or a bit of tape, which you can tie to the salami, and record the weight and also the target weight. This will let us know when it's ready. So what we want to do is record them, record the weight, and for this we're looking for a 30% reduction in weight. Anything after that tells us that it's ready. So if you like your salami particularly firm, you can go to 35, 40, 45%. But past 30% tells us that it's actually ready for consumption. Okay? So what I suggest you do is you get a tag or a piece of tape, you write down the initial weight, the date, and then your target weight. This makes it very, very simple for you to whip it out from either your curing chamber or where you're hanging your meat, and just to weigh it quickly and see if it's ready. Okay, so now you've recorded the weight on your salami. The next stage is to hang it to ferment for 24 hours. For this, we want to hang it in a warm place, out of direct sunlight, room temperature, so anything from 18 to 24 degrees C. And this will just help the fermentation process that's happening inside the sausage. So when it comes to hanging and curing these, after the fermentation, you want to hang them in an area, 9 to 10 degrees is perfect. I tend to do mine near the back door, where there's a little bit of airflow coming through, and out of direct sunlight is very important. If you have a wine fridge, these are absolutely brilliant in there, because you can maintain a constant temperature around that. If you're using a commercial fridge, you can truss a rod through the hoops that you've made, put that into the slats on the side of the refrigerator or fridge, so that they can hang. The weight loss will take longer to achieve, but at 9-10 degrees you'd expect to hit your target weight somewhere in the region of about 3 weeks. And then it's good to eat, and then happy tasting. Then it's a case of inspecting your meat every single day just to make sure that you haven't got any bad mold. With salami, white mold is good. Green mold, bad. Black mold, terrible. Yellow mold, even worse. So what you want to do is, if you see white mold, that's cool, that's good. This is the good bacteria forming on the outside, taking over areas so that bad mold can't get there. Don't worry if you don't have any mold. I make plenty of salami where there's no mold at all, okay? It's not a necessary requirement to be able to make a basic salami at home. If you do come across anything such as green mold, what you can do is quickly wipe it off with some white vinegar, and then you'll be good to go. If you get anything like black mold, that means that there's something in the area that's a contaminant, and therefore you're probably going to have to throw these out, I'm afraid. It's just one of those things, but black mold is like the kiss of death, so you don't want to go there. Don't forget to like our video and to subscribe if you want to see more hacks or more recipes about making homemade charcuterie.